Femicide. This is the intentional or deliberate killing of women just because they are women. And it is mostly perpetrated by intimate partners or people they know deeply. Welcome to African Nazarenes Debate Council Roundtable discussion on femicide. This has been an issue that has been raging the airwaves for quite a while since the beginning of this year in our country. And we are trying to look in depth and understand what causes it, what are the solutions to it, and what changes can we bring about to prevent it. Joining me today will be having members of the Debate Council and some members of the Law School and members of the Media Council who will actually tell us and give us insight onto what they understand from this perspective of the problem at hand. And to my right, I will be having Rose, who will be telling us what she thinks and what she believes in. To my far left, we'll definitely be having Shemaiah Claus, Bishop Shemaiah Claus, who will be apparently telling us insights onto it. Maybe religious and spiritual aspects of it might come out. We never know. And of course, Yusuf will be closing off and telling us what they actually understand, what he actually understands from this perspective, and perhaps what solutions he might actually have within his genius mind. So to start us off, ladies, this is something that has been affecting your gender most. What do you stand for in this current situation? Do you think that the airwaves are justified to give such attention to these gruesome murders that are happening?
Thank you for the question. Thank you for this chance for me to answer it. Personally, as a lady, there's no justification for murder. The current situation that is in the country or the current femicides that are happening are causing us a lot of fear and anxiety. We can't actually go anywhere right now. We can't meet up with any person right now. We don't have our freedom. We are always in fear, living in fear every second time, because every single day there's a woman who is being killed. And not just being killed, there's some gruesome things that are happening. So it's making us live in so much fear. And personally, I don't think that there's any justification for murder, whether you consider a woman immoral or a sinner, or however you may consider her, there's no justification for murder at all at any cost.
Okay. So I'd like to take the ball back to the men. Apparently, she's talked about the aspect of sin, the aspect of morality and ethics in this. Do you think, as men, I'd like to direct this to Shemaiah, as men, do you think that the attention women are getting on media concerning femicide in relation to the consequences that they had actually perpetrated, that is it prostitution or aggression, their actions, do you think it warrants that this whole ordeal be termed as femicide?
Um, Great question. Thank you, Danaro, for that question. First of all, I still stand with her on the sense that there is no justification for any killing. Secondly, I'll still state that as much as we still have people who think otherwise, the situation at hand is actually a femicide situation, in the sense that there's a deliberate way of killing like this, and it's actually methodical. Some people are trying to play two things. One is the gender card, and two is the moral card. From the gender card, people are trying to put it as if it's a man versus woman debate, and from the moral card, people are trying to justify the fact that these people can be killed because have certain or immoral acts. One, Christianity doesn't, or I don't think there's any religion that justifies that. Maybe we have, but first I'll try to give the context in the book of John chapter 8 from verse 1 to 11, where Jesus was where there's this woman was being used as a pawn, trying to test Jesus whether she can be killed because she was a prostitute. But then Jesus turned down and tried to write and stated that if there's anyone who does not have any sin, he or she should lay their first stone. But the people departed because, one, most of these people who are trying to play this moral card are also not the moral whatever they think they are. They also have some form of things with which, if they are given the chance to judge, they cannot stand to win those cases. So, one, Christianity does not support any form of killing people just because people are trying to play some form of moral cards. And whatever morality you have, Jesus said in the book of Matthew, chapter 21, verse 31, that it will be easier for those people who are being seen as prostitutes and tax collectors to move to heaven more than the Pharisees. The Pharisees are these hypocritical people in the society who are trying to push for moralistic nature, yet they have not washed on their inside.
So, just to address on that aspect of hypocrisy at its best, are we pointing out that men apparently are the ones who are hypocritical, or if we are to revert to the statement you said that we are turning this into a gender war, maybe you can elaborate on that and make people understand what do you mean by we are turning this into a gender war? Is it something that men are consciously aware that they are actually superior and they are actually discriminating the minority, or is it basically just an aspect of because she's a woman?
Maybe we have that. First of all, we need to realize that these things happening in a patriarchal in society, and secondly, we need to realize that the depth of this patriarchal society can lead to an aspect of misogyny in the society, and this you'll see it in the intimate nature that you stated. We have more than 67% of people dying in those intimate nature death. 87,000 women died in 2017. 58% of it was done by their intimate partners. That's the intentional killing of women, and we realize that yes, there's that aspect of the society whereby people are trying to say, I think you've interacted with this debate, that men are also dying and women, and we are just over focusing it on women. The issue is it's
But
more.
before you continue, do you think that is justified? And also to Yusuf, as you wait, do you think that it is justified that the attention is actually given majorly on them, and also at the expense of men? Do you think that that is also a justified call that we are making as society? But Shamai can finish up, then Yusuf, you tell us.
um, you've asked if it's justified for like women.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the thing.
Is it justified that they get that attention? Of course, we both agree here. I believe it is a mutual ground that we've agreed that murder in any form is not allowed. We don't at all advocate for it. That's one stance I believe we've all come to agree. But the attention that is being given to that, because that seems to be the major problem that people are having out here in society. Because if you go to social media handles, we see the responses coming out that also men happen to go through this and this, or you hear people saying that that is something usual in the line of duty. So tell me, what is your stance on that?
I'll give two theories that I've actually read on that. One is called the muted group theory, and the other is called the quasi-invisibility theory. This theory provides that we have most women in the society being like kind of silenced by mostly the perpetrators. You realize that this perpetration is actually done by most of these people which ladies trust, or they think they should protect them. And this happens in many scores of this death. So the thing is, women are like not given the voice that like let me say the other men or maybe the other genders are given. But then we also have the quasi-invisibility gender, whereby we try to cover up all these let me say if women are being killed, let me say methodically, we try to cover up with things like the gender battles or so. So like we try as much as we can to make it invisible and maybe normalize it in the society.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that in-depth access of it. Yusuf, just before you continue, a quick question. As a man in this, of course, your answer will definitely be subjective to it. Objective to it. You are not in any way against. We are not in any way for the murders. But as a man in this, can you in any way try and break it down to us? What apparently are the motives or the perspectives of these perpetrators of femicide? Because I believe that as a lawyer, you've gone through various cases where these kind of actions have been reoccurring. So what are the motives or the perspectives that these perpetrators might have in mind for them to commit this crime? That way we can understand, maybe we can find a way to look into how we can put in various policies that stop this. So do tell us.
According to me, I think that this goes to the root of society, because for the outstanding cases quite recently, we see that one was murder by a potential ritualist, and the other was murder by a potential extortionist. So that goes to the root of our society. Actually, that is more of a philosophical, political, and even sociological problem. So whenever we pull the gender card, whenever we put out a blanket statement like men should stop killing women, that is actually misplaced, because when you say men should stop killing women, already you've turned it into a gender war. And that's the problem with the modern day feminism, because I feel like it's more of misandry cloaked behind feminism. Because when you put it that way, you destroy any chance of us having a rational discourse towards how to end feminism. So that's why I'm saying when you turn it into a gender war, like it really doesn't make sense, because at the end of the day, when you say men should stop killing women, what do you mean? Do you mean that now perhaps women can band together, form a vigilante group to hunt down the men that are killing women? No, at the end of the day, we expect the benevolent men to come out and stop the benevolent women. So when you turn it into a gender war, basically, there's no chance of us ever coming up with the policies or whatever to adequately deal with femicide. So I think we should start from a point of policies. We saw that perhaps when it comes to the Airbnb, there's a huge gap when it comes to policies that enables these murders. We have female legislatures, we have women rep, we have female MPs. They should be taken to parliament. You should find a way to regulate the Airbnbs and all that. But I really don't think that we should be so quick to pull the gender card at any point, because that brings about misandry and misogyny. So
Thank you so much for that. And just before I come to Rose, what are the consequences and costs of femicide for women and families and the society at large? Because you have clearly elaborated on how basically if we are to pull out the gender card, it will bring about misogyny and misandry at best. Now, the consequences that look at us, considering now that already it is in effect, it is already happening. Shemaya just told us apparently some statistics of apparently 87,000 or so cases that had happened in the year 2017. So what are the consequences that we are looking at right now? What is the stark reality that's facing us now that these activities are happening, are with us, and we need to battle and deal with them?
I feel like the consequences, it brings about the age-old battle of women against patriarchy and all that. So that totally destroys any meaningful advances that have been made, any meaningful gains that have been made by all the femicides in the past generations. So I feel like with whether patriarchy or whatever, I feel like we should put policies, resolutions in place to find an adequate way to sort of battle these menace. I remember online when they say that perhaps women should take care, they should take care of the risks and all that. And it was decried because they were claiming that apparently they are young women, men are pulling the morality card and all that. But we should know that life, it's about probability and risk. Let me give an analogy of a truck. I know that right now there's a chance that if I walk out of this place, a truck might crash me and I might die. But I wouldn't say that now I'm not going to take care of my health of my body because there's a chance that a truck will crash me. The same goes to women. Yeah, there is a chance that that killer can come to your house and kill you. There is a chance that someone very, very close to you can kill you. But what are the risks involved when you go out there and meet a total stranger, someone different culture and all that, someone you don't know? That puts you at a higher risk of being murdered. So that's where when we say that you should take care, you should actually account for the risks involved when you go out to meet those strangers and all that.
True. That's well-headed advice, and quite remarkable of you for saying that. And before just turning to Rose here on our side, there have been various narratives that have been propagated across society for quite a while that many actually think that is one of the major constituting factors to the current femicides we have. Do you believe that that is true? You know, narratives such as feminism, toxic masculinity, male chauvinism at its best. Do you think that these are one of the major contributing factors to what we are facing right now in our country as femicide?
I'll say partly. I think we are in an era where women are being empowered. We are an era where there's women empowerment every single place. And most of the time, the male gender makes this, I don't want to say it's an excuse. I don't want to say that it's an excuse, but yes, I accept that sometimes when we empower women so much, we forget the male gender. But it shouldn't be an excuse to propagate these kind of things. I think if women are being empowered, then men should also step up. They shouldn't give this as a justification for doing these kind of things. I don't think there's any justification for there can be any justification for any sort of murder or any sort of, what do we call them, femicide. Yeah.
So just to hold you there, you said that when women are empowered, so should men. So are you of the school of thought that society has the ability to actually focus on two groups at the same time, or?
I don't think there can be any balance if the society focuses on both men and women. But I think that as women are being empowered, as women are being more vocal, men should also do the same. Because they can't just sit around and just sit and wait for the society to do these things for them. Because before, they said we were in a patriarchal society where men took the lead and women followed, right? Men did these things and then women were expected to follow them. So if women are being empowered, men should also do the same. If they're meant to lead, they should also lead the same. Because there can't be any balance. There can't be any balance between maybe women being empowered and men being empowered at the same time. But there can be made awareness so that these men can know how to deal with empowered women. Because at this time, men don't know how to deal with empowered women. Because you'll find if maybe it's a relationship or something, the woman has now become empowered, they're now having a good job, they have a better salary than the man, and then maybe the man feels a bit or less or a bit weaker in a way. So if this man can step up and just lead, don't expect the woman to just sit around and not do anything. She has been empowered to also empower yourself in the same way. And then I think that's basically the point.
Okay. So if I may just take that aspect that you've talked about and direct it to Shemaya, of which kindly you'll keep it brief on that. You've talked about if women are empowered, men should also rise to the occasion on themselves and make that first jump, that first step to making a change to themselves, to making themselves better, that they don't need to count on society to put the spotlight on them, to listen to them. But Shemaya, you tell me, don't you think that the major problem that holds that back, that whole idea and that whole concept back, is a mere fact that society still has this burden of expectations on man, on the male gender as itself? That as a man, you're not supposed to be broke. As a man, you're not supposed to be weak. As a man, you're not supposed to express your emotions, etc., etc. Don't you think those stereotypic conventions upon the male gender narrative is what is now making it very, very hard for them to actually rise to the occasion and say that we want to also be listened to as much as women are being empowered?
Okay, thank you. I think that will be the case if only people take it like negatively or take it as a form of pressure. The issue is both men and women can rise to those occasions of maybe providing or doing so. But then if people are expecting this for you and you take it as a negative form of pressure, then it will like overwhelm you. But if you take it as a positive form of pressure, then it will take you to somewhere, and it will not lead to all these form of crises of trying to like go against that ideology of being expected to do something as a person or as an individual. In that, it's just taking up your responsibility.
Yeah. So that's quite revealing that you've actually pointed that out, that it's upon men to actually empower themselves, to rise to the occasion, believe in themselves, And if men do believe in themselves, then they won't feel the threat, because from the depictions both of you have given out, it's more of that the male gender actually feels threatened once in a while, and that's why they have these various reactions. Is that what you're saying?
Don't know if most men will support me, but I think that's kind of to my point of my point of view, in the sense that um, kind of when women are being empowered, some men feel like they're being overstepped or something, and you find that some men are taking it as if they now like deserve or need to be maybe given the same chance, or maybe it's true, but I think towards Rossi's point of view, maybe we've empowered women and maybe failed to train men how to handle like empowered women, and that's why they feel like intimidated when they interact with empowered women.
Thank you so much. And just for our viewers out there who are listening to this, we also had online participation in this. And before we actually get on to the next aspect of this discussion, I would just like to ask our online members if apparently, I've been told that apparently we can still buy some time while expounding on this aspect of to Yusuf of the legal policies that you talked about earlier on. Are there various social frameworks and mechanisms to prevent or address and punish femicide in this current era that we are facing right now? Like, is our judicial system effective enough to look into this and address it? Because if we were talking about an effective judicial system, then by now this would have been curbed. So maybe you can expound it to us, make our audience understand. Maybe is there something wrong with the system, or is it that it's the society's initiative that has failed?
When we look at the legal framework, it has policies in place, though they're not quite, I can't say that they're focused on femicide, but looking at the legal frameworks placed on murder, we can see that legally we have all those policies in place. At the moment, what you need are working systems to bring these murderers, to bring these perpetrators, to bring these culprits to book. But from a legal perspective, the law, it has policies in place to sort of curb this femicide and all those murders.
Okay, sir, thank you so much for that. Yusuf, you've told us apparently of the penitentiary systems and how they can actually work on that. However, this does not address the victims to this femicide, the relatives, the friends, because, for example, the current recent infamous case of Rita Waeni, she was just a 20-year-old student from JKUAT, and she's no longer there. And this is someone who had a future. This is someone who people were counting on. This is someone who people believed she had the potential to make a change. So what measures have been put in place to actually help the relatives, the friends of these victims, because they still need to cope with the fact that they've lost someone, not out of just a mere murder that had just happened out here or a random maybe robbery or something, but a murder that was intentional with the deliberate aspect of just taking down someone because they exist at a certain gender. So what consolation is given to them, or what measures are actually put across for them to actually be addressed to these people who are still afflicted by this?
I would say that in this case, the death was unfortunate. Yeah. And as I said, legally, there are measures in place via the DPP. When the investigations are done and all that, you can bring the perpetrators to book. But I feel to honor the lady, perhaps it's up to the government to come up with stringent policies when it comes to immigration. Because apparently the suspected perpetrators, those are people that were in the country illegally and all that. So from the government perspective, we can see that it failed the young woman. So going forward, to honor her memory, I feel like we should look into our immigration policies and sort of try and fill the loopholes with regards to immigration and all that.
Thank you so much. And just to come back to Rose, according to you, in your perspective, How do you think we can actually raise awareness and mobilize action against femicide among different stakeholders and sectors? Because if you see that as much as it still as much as it happened in some areas, and we saw that most of the femicide murders took place in the metropolitan areas, maybe around the CBD, around Nairobi and around Kiambu area. But also we hear of cases still happening even down in the countryside. We hear of people still women being killed by their husbands. We hear of ladies being butchered by their partners. And these people, remember, they are in the countryside, so which means that the technological advancement for them is still not at par for them to actually get these resources, get this awareness and on. So what do you think we should do to them? Because is this a cultural problem that we are facing in terms of our culture being the aspects of our culture being very patriarchal to the point that even when we are being raised, it's a problem that we see from our parents. I grew up in a very patriarchal environment and I see that my father is always hitting my mother all the time, so I have the right to do that. So is this something that we should find a way to work on right from the root problem of culture, or is this just something that we should let the government work with and deal with?
This is something that is supposed to be worked on from the roots. It's not a government thing. The government may be able to work in some areas, but it cannot fix the whole problem.
So just a follow-up, then how do you think we can foster a culture of respect, equality, and of course non-violence towards women and girls out here?
Okay, thank you. Before I answer that, I think it's not only about culture, it's also about mental health. I think we're in a society where people do not seek mental health. People do not seek mental support or mental anything. People are very depressed. They have gone through traumas as kids. They have gone through so many awful things as kids. And because of this, because of not talking it out and because of not seeking help, they end up being very bitter adults. They end up having a lot of mental issues, being psychopaths. Because if you were to consider the case of Rita, where the murderer actually cut her into pieces, you cannot say that this is a sane human being who did this. It's a person who has gone through so many mental problems in their lives and they have not expressed them, or they have not found a way to resolve them in any way. So we are currently dealing with, it's not just about culture, it's also about mental. If let's say not only men but also women, because it's not only women who are killed. Men are also killed out here. So if people could seek help first, if you have any issues, if things have happened to you, if you have so many childhood traumas, if you could seek help first of all, so that you can deal with these things and become less of a bitter human, I think that could also be a resolution for this. As well as culture, yes, our current culture is patriarchal. Men as the head and women as the neck, or women as the support system. I think we have to let people know that in the era where we are going, or in the age where we are going, this might not be exactly the, what do we call it? This might not be the exact case, because women are becoming empowered, as I had said before, and men, and they're coming at par with men. We're going to get to a certain point where women are, let's say, equal, almost equal to men. So we have to make men aware that the empowerment of women is not, we're not trying to threaten them by empowering women. We're just trying to end the era where women were tortured, where women did not have a say in anything. So if we could create this awareness to the men, first of all, tell them we're empowering women, and you should also find and help them deal with this. And also, if it's in the rural areas where there's no technology, I think we can do something like campaigns. Just go to them, just teach them that this is this is the current situation, this is how it is. Men should no longer, like if it's women, tell them you should not allow your men to maybe violate you in any way. You have a say, you actually have a voice. you actually can do something about it. You should not just sit and just wait for the government to do something, because it has to start with individuals. It has to start with individuals, because the government does not have the power to do all this. This is on us. Just go into the rural areas, just go mashinani, just teach them, just make them aware that you have a voice. If it's men, this is not how you treat your woman, because sometimes kids grow up in these kind of areas where the father has been maybe beating up the wife, or has been very patriarchal, and they think this is how it's supposed to be. So just go and tell them, just preach the good news, preach the good news.
Yeah, true. Thank you so much. From what you said, you've been able to point out the root causes of what we see out here, the reasons as to why we see these kind of outbursts and reactions leading to these femicides out here. And you've talked about mental health and awareness of it actually being undermined. We've talked about cultural aspect of it. And I'd just like to direct this to Shemaiah, Bishop Shemaiah. On a serious note, that is, these root causes that have been mentioned, how do you think they intersect with other forms of discrimination and oppression based on gender, race, ethnicity, and class, or basically any level of ethnicity that we see out here? So how do you think they intersect in that? And in addition to that, do you believe that religion is able to actually give an impact in preventing or in working against femicide?
Thank you. First of all, on the first question, these things are actually directly integrated. The whole issue of femicide and any other type of discrimination, because you'll see the case of in a place Guatemala, you'll see Mexico, you'll see Jamaica, you'll see there's around the same thing. In fact, in Mexico, you'll find that the women there are being killed because they were women of working class. The moment a woman will be paid their salary, they'll start being haunted by these perpetrators, and it goes deep into the system. Here's the thing: first, the issue of femicide is not just perpetrated by men or something. We also have Diana Razel he was the first person to talk about femicide. In his discourse, she stated that we also have women who act as agents of patriarchy, and also we also have women who act as agents of male perpetrators. Let me give you a case of maybe the FGM. It was the women who were actually circumcising or mutilating other women because of their marriageability to men, and we have that aspect of the system working directly deep into that. In terms of discrimination, the discrimination works. You'll find that the target of these women will be maybe of a certain class, of a certain gender, of a certain there was that proportion in terms of the discrimination. On the issue of religion as an impact, religion, we realize that 84% of this world is actually religious in nature, and maybe either organized or disorganized, but we can use religion as a way of creating awareness. There's something called religious activism, whereby we now tell people. I go to church and I tell this case in Kenya whereby we've seen a lot of maybe preachers or something silent on that, but we can use the church to educate people and tell them that this thing is wrong, and men shouldn't be killing women or women shouldn't be killing men, and we need to avoid this as a society.
Thank you so much for that expound. Definitely elaborate as it is. Much can't be added upon that actually. So to Yusuf, my last question to you. You mentioned how basically this issue is being talked about currently, but not by the female leaders that we put there, the female reps, the female leaders who are in power, that have the ability and the influence and the impact to make a change. They fail to talk about this. From your opinion, from your perspective, what can you say about this? And if there's a way out of this that we can fix that rut, what would you suggest?
I think that femicide is a social ill, so it shouldn't just be restricted to the female leadership and all that. I believe that the social sciences, they are the soul to a civilized society. And if you're keen, in Kenya, every exam cycle, I usually come up with these marketable courses, and you'll hear people rubbishing the sociology, anthropology, and all that. But I believe that those are they're very crucial. We should actually fund anthropological research, sociological research, even theological research, because I feel like the idea of female empowerment, perhaps colonialism came about and sort of interfered with our society's advancement inertia and all that. But I believe that the idea of perhaps female empowerment and all that, perhaps it was spontaneous. There wasn't a transitional phase. And that perhaps left a lot of men behind. That's why in the online space, we have the idea of the red pill, the black pill, we have insults and all that. So I think when we come back to the social sciences, when we fund the social sciences, when we go to the root of society and try and discern the problem, I believe that's when we'll come up with working solutions going forward that will actually transcend generations. So I do believe at the end of the day, it's the social sciences that will come to our aid. So this idea of marketable courses and all that, that's just rubbish. We should embrace all that. We should embrace culture and all that. And if we feel that some aspect of our culture is outdated, we should just toss it away, because the thing is, change is inevitable. We should realize that. Yeah, that's what I believe with a lot of conviction.
Thank you so much. That is quite inspiring and quite opening in terms of how I actually approach things, because definitely the social sciences do have a huge role to play. However, it is evident that many have actually undermined that, and many of us have actually overlooked the fact that these these lessons, these aspects can actually give a change to what the narrative that you're currently facing as a crisis. And just before we wind up, I would like each of our panelists to just give a comment on this topic, a closing comment on this topic as we close on. So Rose, you may definitely start us off, and we'll finish with Yusuf.
Mine will be to all the girls out here, or the women. We are in a society where these things will not stop happening, and it's not our fault at all that on daily basis women are being killed. On daily basis we are living in fear. So the only thing we can do as women is taking care of ourselves. Just know where you are. Just don't meet strangers as we do. Just take care of yourself. Be in the right places. If you're going somewhere, just let your friend know. Just even if you're going to pin a location, just let someone know where you are. Take care of yourself. Yeah, that's basically it. Let's start by ourselves, because no one is going to be out here protecting us. Let's not blame the men so much.
Thank you so much. So I think evidently, personally, I can take from what you've said that collective responsibility is very, very essential in actually combating femicide. And that's someone I'd love definitely to preach out there and to remind our viewers and our audience that it is upon you and me to make this work. That it is your sister, it is your brother, it is your sister, it is your mother, it is your auntie who's definitely going to be the next victim if we keep quiet about it, if we don't say anything about it. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful as it is. I didn't even need to paraphrase it. I think you said it better than I did. Shemaya, just a closing word on this.
I'll start by sending this to my daughter. When you're born, I hope that this aspect of patriarchy that propagates misogyny will have ended. And I'll give you the power and chance to go against every aspect of femicide at that time if we'll be there. I believe that we can bring back the normalcy of love, trust, loyalty as sacred things in this society. And we can have men as protectors of this society rather than perpetrators of the death of our women. To me, and every other man here, I believe that any other person who maybe has trusted you in something, do not end their lives. Let's end femicide.
Thank you so much, and congratulations in advance to your future daughter. And that's quite touching. Thank you so much, Shemaya. And I'm very sure that all the male audience who have heard that definitely it has touched a spot. Yusuf, what would you like to finish us off with?
I think for my parting shot, we should be a society united to ensure that ours is a society where women are safe. I do believe that to every man out there, whenever you view a lady, don't view her as an object. View her with the same reverence that you'll view your mother, your sister, and all that. And I do believe that with that in mind and at heart, we will build towards a better society.
That's touching and quite revealing. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, our audience out there, we have finally come to the end of our roundtable. And as your host, I'll be telling you this. My parting shot will be simple as this. The women out there are our sisters, they are our mothers, they are our relatives, they are our friends. Regardless of who you are, regardless of whatever power you hold, going against a woman inadvertently with ill motive, regardless of the situation or circumstance, that is discrimination in itself because they are a minority. They are still considered a minority. That is a fact that you have to actually accept. And the day you'll actually understand that they are people who we also depend on, then we will definitely begin to address this issue on femicide. Therefore, as Rose said, it is upon you and me to actually make a collective responsibility to end this. Till next time, thank you.